Hi guys, off we go again. I've got a small project I want to get out of the way. I'm waiting for my hopefully final back plate for the chuck and my old rotary table, some people may have seen it, I described it long ago, so I won't go into that very much, but it's actually 7.5 inch, very low profile, and I want to be able to make use of it. The little 4-inch one is quite handy for small jobs because it tilts, so it's got some useful applications, but there's rather a lot of it in the milling machine, so it's limited for what it can take even so. But this other one, I want to modify it so I can make better use of it on the mill, and I'll show you what I'm going to try and do and describe it as I go, and then we'll hopefully try and sum up when we when we get it done. It's quite a bit of fiddle, but I want to get it dealt with. Yeah. I did describe this maybe a couple of years ago, I can't remember now. Something I obtained, I don't know, 25 years ago or more. All it was just the turntable and the bass, and I made all this stuff here to enable it to work. And this drives the worm wheel. It's a bit on the stiff side, and these little hand wheel handles are not really adequate. Anyway, the thing I've got to change is the projection from here, because one of the downsides of my X-axis DRO protection is it stops this quite getting onto the center T slot, and we only actually need about 3/8 increase. This is just over 1/2 inch, so I don't need to go very far, but I don't want to have to change any more than necessary. So what I'm planning to do is add an extension piece. Now this is, I'll give you a closer look at what we've got here. All that bright metal was all the stuff that I added years ago. It works all right, and we've actually got a little pointer here. This is graduated. It's only scratch graduations, which I did with my improvised 100 division gear on the back of the lathe spindle. So what we've got to do, I don't want to modify any more than necessary, if I didn't mention that already. So if we take this piece off, alright, that's the current handle. You might see there's a keyway in there, and I don't know whether if the light was good enough you'd even see the graduations. I mean, they're quite readable, but you've got to get a little bit close. So there we have, on the end of the shaft here, plus the piece of key, that represents just over 3/4. And I don't want to cut this to pieces. I don't even want to take this apart, it's too much hassle. So we're going to try and extend this, and that piece is, oh, I can't even remember that. That was probably from some metric. So I'll try and match that. Maybe take a short piece. In fact, it won't be that short. We're going to have to extend. This will probably in the end come out to probably that far, which doesn't matter. And I want to change these two handles, or make an attachment to give me a much wider lever, shall we say, for the operation. But the first thing is to do this, so I think we'll turn down to size, we'll bore it out, we'll tap it inside for the thread that's on here, so it will screw on, and then once it's in position tight up against here, we'll mark up where that keyway is and put in a set screw. Save me cutting an internal keyway, and then from about that point roughly make a new duplicate of that spindle end. So it's a fiddly piece to make, but it will get me well out and clear. Well, I've touched off on here, set up on the forge yaw. Going to prepare a couple of inches. I actually want to go down to 882 for that other shaft. I don't know why I made it 882, but that's what it is. So I've got to take about 50 thou each side. Let's just try a 10. Alright, I'll take that down the rest of the way, see if we can get to diameter on that. Just taking another 3, which should get me down to close to 882, which is not hypercritical. It should be close, maybe a thou left to go, but really not terribly critical here. So we got 75, 80, 82 and 2/10, I suppose. I'll go with that. Alright, I'm not going to break that edge much, because that should be butting against the original shaft. I might just take one more facing skim to clean that up, and then we'll bore it out. I've just put a quarter down there to 1 inch, but I don't need to go that far with 3/8, because the quarter will act as a pocket for the thread on that old shaft. So for 3/8 we only want to go in 5/8, I think. Just over 5/8, so probably 3/4, something like that. We just don't need to go quite the whole depth on the 3/8. Let's just see what we get here. It should suffice, I think. Just check that and see where the two diameters change, just to get a rough idea. Let's undo that. So we're up to 700, that's adequate. Just check, just to be sure. Yep, that'll work. adequate for that. And just set up to part this piece off. I think I'm set okay here. Alright, let's have a look there. Alright, we'll work with that. We've got to face that off and clean up here. Right, we're back in the forge yaw, and we have this on my metric dial, less than half a thou. So I'll go with that. And what we've got to do now is let's check that. Get the same length again. So I can face off about 50 thou. This is fairly empirical. And turn down to 3/8. We've got quite a lot of meat to get off here, about 1/4 inch. I think it's about 1/4 if I make sure I check my measurements there. Yeah, it's actually 1/2 inch on the diameter, just over. I'm not going to bother to face that until I've taken this down. Get this down in size first. As you know, I don't take monster cuts on this old machine, so we'll just take some 25s, I think, something like that, and just see how we go. Make sure we're ready to go. That should leave me with about 25 to go, I think, something like that. See where we are. Take some smaller cuts and get her finished. We're down to 404. Alright, did I mention about 25 thou? Well, because we've got 26 left, so I've got to go 13. I'll take another 10 and then we'll go a bit easy. Try and make sure this is a fairly nice fit on that handle. That should only leave me 5 or 6 thou. I'll take a smaller cut and feed a bit slower. And that's down to 385. Leaves me 007. I have to doodle on paper. Try and avoid making as many mistakes. 007, So I'm going to take 3 on the dial and then check again. You don't really want to see me measuring all the time. I don't normally take you as far as this, don't I? I start off, switch off and come back at the end. 7, I can't see, my eyesight. Let me just check that again. Alright, double check. Yeah, I've got a thou left, more or less, so I'm just going to put a chamfer on here so I can test fit in a minute. Just break that edge. Yeah, it needs an extra thou, so I'm going to take, this is very difficult on here, this scale is, got to be a bit careful. In theory this is half a thou. Might still be a tiny bit short. Oh, there we are. It's just a smidgen tight, just tiny little bit tight there. It's almost ready to go, isn't it? So I think we'll just use some paper on there just to free it off. That last tenth probably, that's all it needs. Try that. There we go. That's pretty nice. We're going to have to put a keyway in this later. That'll be one of the last stages, I think. And now we're going to put a thread on that end. Right, we've got to take 64 off each side. Hang on a minute. 250, 378, 128, 64. Yeah, 64. So we'll take 50 off and then check it. That was only 50. In theory we've got about 14 left. Two 274. Looks as though I only need about 12 thou off, so we'll take another 10. This is for a thread, it doesn't have to be exactly a quarter, it can be a thou under. So what did I say? 12, so we'll take 10, see where we are. Sometimes cutting smaller diameters isn't as accurate as on large. Right, I mean this isn't a very complex piece of stuff, is it really? It's just a piece of machining. So 254. So we'll take another 2 and a smidge, and it should get us close enough. I'll put a proper chamfer on this in a minute. I've got to face that off yet. See where we are. Ha! Exactly 250. Alright, this incidentally is from my favourite old British BSF thread. And that's what the original nut was on the previous main shaft. So I'm going to get some chamfers done and prep that for a die. I may have to put a little bit of relief at the back there actually, so the thread will go all the way. Well, that back edge is pretty near to the chuck, so I'm just going to use a file to break that edge. Just put a little bit of relief in that back end there. Got to find, I've got a very old parting tool which may not be set up, but it's very narrow. I'm just going to rotate by hand here. I can't find my really mini parting tool, which is actually ground from solid. So this is only to give me a little bit of back relief for the thread so the nut will do up fully. Alright, that should do. Let's go find the die and cut the thread. I started doing this and I was completely in the way of the camera, but I can take the tailstock back now. See if that's right. Check the nut. I may need to increase the tension on the die because I always start large. Oh no, we're good. Just a little bit tight, so I'll probably relieve that a tiny bit more at the end. Just see if that'll do up properly. Alright, that'll work. So we've got to get a keyway done, and we've also got to modify the pointer that was on the old shaft. We've got to make a new pointer, plus we've got to make something for here. These will come out. Right, this is where we're at. Just review what we've done and what we've got to do. Incidentally, when I came in here it was about 48 degrees, I think, or worse. I've used my heater to top it up a bit, but what a contrast from 85 degrees. Anyway, here's the extension piece as it is at the moment. So that's bored out to give me some clearance for the spigot on this shaft. It's a slightly tight fit at the very end. I know it'll go on because I've checked it. When we finally fit it, it'll just be tapped on. Now we need a set screw, and all I've got amongst all my many set screws, I've got this metric M4 by 0.7. If I can avoid dropping it, which I've just done, it'll actually go in that keyway. Just about a reasonable fit, because we're not after tightening the set screw excessively, we just want it to act as a register pin in that keyway. So we've got to cross drill this for the set screw. This one's I doubt if you can even see it, it's too damn small. I need one about twice that length, but it'll do for the moment till I get another. Plus the fact that the point needs to be, this one isn't actually a cone point, but it's got a good taper on it to fit the keyway. And then we've got to cut a keyway on here. I fortunately have a little 1/8 end mill, so we'll finish up with, when that's closed up, this will be our extension. And then I've got to make some sort of bar. It's out of frame, isn't it? Doing my usual trick. So I've got to make a piece of bar to extend that. So quite a few things to do yet. I won't bother you with all of it because it's not terribly exciting, but I'll set this up for the keyway, probably video that, see where we go. I just started putting a keyway in here on the outer spigot. I've got leather either side of the workpiece here to get a better grip. I've taken a 1/10 hour cut. I don't know how much you'll be able to see because the lighting's tricky to get right. We'll see what we can do. I don't know how much of that you can see because it's all so crowded in. I guess you can see a bit of it. Anyway, I've got another couple of passes to make there to finish that off. Well, that's as deep as I'm going to go. The original was fairly shallow. The key itself is not absolutely square. I'm going to use the same key, which I think I made specially for the job actually. So that's as far as I'm going to leave that one. Right, next step. There's not too much left to do, I don't think. I've got this piece of 3/4 3/16 bar happens to be handy. I'm going to use that for an extended handle. So we'll drill 2 quarter holes for the current small handles. Pretty big clearance hole in the middle for the nut. And for an end handle, this end, which I'll round off a bit, I've just got a piece of nominal 3/8 rod here, small piece. Always raid the scrap bin when I can. Just turning this down to put a quarter thread on it in a minute. This should be the last cut, I think. Hopefully. Let's check that and see. This stage is not overcritical here, really. See what we got, and still a thou large. Sorry, 2 thou. So I'll just take another thou off. I'm going to be sticking to my old faithful BSF, British Standard Fine. There we are, there's my quarter. I'm going to put a chamfer on that, lead-in chamfer, and I'll probably do like I did on the other. I'll back cut here for clearance. No, actually I don't need to on this because we're going through the bar. That's a good point. Pretty generous chamfer, wasn't it? Let's set up the die. Let's get this one started. That should be enough turns there to finish it off. Put the handle in the spindle, a bit of oil. Right, let's see what we got. That should be alright. I'll just break the edge on the, just get that smoothed a little bit. Literally just breaking that edge. And we'll cut this off and clean up the other end. If I could be bothered, I would give this a round end, but I'm sticking to the function principle. I'll just round this a little bit with the file. That's good enough for an end. Just drill this last 1/4 inch. I'll set this up for that larger hole. Just going to put this 1/2 inch excuse me, I'm just going to put this 1/2 inch through, and I've got this clamped down because on this thin material we're probably going to get quite a lot of grabbing, I think, so I'm hoping this will. I'll probably change the speed setting too. Right, that may need to be slightly enlarged to clear the nut, I'm not sure yet, but it should help with clearance, because I don't think the 1/2 inch will quite be enough. We'll see if we can get through. Alright, that should give me the clearance that I want. Oh dear, just so you guys in the Bozo Club don't feel alone, that hole should have been there. You get the general idea? We got that wrong. I think what I might try, just to save the day, I might make another hole here, shorten this down and see if I've got enough with the handle. Hang on, where's the handle? There it is. It may well be, if I drill another 1/4, it may well be that even that extra distance with the handle will make life a bit easier. Otherwise I'll have to make a new one. Crazy, isn't it? Measure twice, cut once. You know, when you screw up, you think, oh, I better make a new piece. Excuse me, and then you think, oh, maybe it'll do. Which, the critical thing here is, what I've done is, I've taken one of the spare tapered handles off, used one for fixing and the other a bolt, and I've just set this up. I've just about got enough clearance, and that makes life just fine. So the fact that it's not so far out doesn't really matter too much. I've only gained 1 inch, but the thing is, by having this other handle removed, it's not getting in the way of this action, and I've still got finger and thumb, alright, and that makes a huge difference rotating. So I'm going to cut this off, make the best of a bad job. We'll put the extension on. I've got to make a new pointer. That's the last thing I've got to do, I think. Oh, there we are. So now we're shorter. Oh my. So I'm just going to go to the belt sander and tidy that edge up to get a slight curve. This end we'll put a full curve on it. Right, we got a modified lever arm here. Oh dear. never mind, make the best of it. I've got the set screw in just enough to just pick up the keyway. This is where I got to get in the way here. Now what have I done with my, oh there it is, God dear oh dear. I tell you what, as most people know, when you get a bit tired and you try and rush things, that's when you make mistakes. Now that should be alright. The slight line you can see there is where there is a very small gap. That edge was broken slightly, so I'm not surprised to see a slight line, but the diameter is a nice match. And then see if we're all in frame. Got to keep checking that. I put the key in. So this is not the regular key, a regular key. It's actually very slightly non-square. Let's tap that on. Now, how much you can see, you can see a little bit there. So let's put the nut on, the original. I think I may add a washer on here actually, I'm not sure. There is backlash in this, incidentally. I think it's worm wear and I can't do much about it. Let's put that one in. And then this bolt, which I think actually it works out better than I'd first thought. Let's try and get lined up. Get that in there. I'm only cinching up just quickly to get it together. The bar at the ends has still got, oops, not that one, this one. The bar has still got ground edges, and I might, in the fullness of time, if I can be bothered, give them a bit of a polish so they look a little bit more finished. Now if I put this aluminum underneath, it's just clearance. Can't really hold it yet, it needs to be bolted in. As you can tell, there's quite a lot of resistance. Now when that's on the T-slots, we'll be good to go. Alright, so we've got to extend this pointer. Of course the bar on the side could be elongated as well, I suppose. That's another option, but that was a piece of 1/4 by 3/4 and I'm not sure I've got any. So I may just make a new pointer, for now anyway. Ooh, I think I'm done. Well, almost anyway. There we are, it's all together. I think what I'll do is I'll come in with a bit of handheld and just point out odd bits, but there's we got the, albeit now slightly shorter handle on, or handle bar, and I've got an extension for the, if I can hold this, there's an extension here for the pointer, and that little piece of sheet metal, which I haven't quite finished, I've got to just relieve it underneath slightly. That took almost longer than anything else. Just a stupid bit of sheet metal. Anyway, let me come in for a slightly closer look so you can see some detail. Let's see if I can manage this handheld. There's the, oh dear, there we go. There's the set screw that goes into the old keyway, and then we got the new handle, the slightly abridged version of the bar. Oh dear, I've rounded that off a little bit. It still needs a bit of polish. And then if I bring the light round, I was trying to get a picture of the there you are, there's the pointer, which is actually, oh dear, it's actually not quite parallel with the main bar. I'll probably try and true that up a bit. It's a matter of aesthetics. The point is, the pointer itself is what matters, and you might be able to see a bit of the scale on here. So anyway, I'll probably tidy that up a bit. That was a fiddle to make. It's got marks on it. It's a piece of scrap I tried to use. So we'll probably true that up a little bit and tidy it up. But as far as that goes, we're basically done. Try and get the light. Yeah, so there we are. That's that basically is it. As I said earlier, this old table is very ancient, very chewed up, bits of metal missing, but it is a rotary table. I've got two locks that I put in. That table, there's a lock on the spindle and a lock on the table. So although there is the slight backlash, which I can't get rid of, it's in the worm gear, once it's in position it's lockable. So at some point hopefully I shall be pleased that I did this bit of nuisance. Alright guys, that's it for now. I'm quitting for the day. Just as an extended wrap here, I've trued this up a bit more. It's not quite spot on. These holes though were made a very tight fit so that there's not much movement, well, no movement on the pointer. And bearing in mind we're talking about fractions here, it's actually very accurate. And a couple of other small things. The back plate came in, and the register on here is oversized from what I need, which is good, and it is just over 6 1/4. Much better. And we'll have to do something about a sleeve in here, but I'll start planning action on this pretty soon, hopefully. Right, there's a final wrap. It's a wrap on the wrap. Fiddly job doing that rotary table, but the end result I think was worth it, and I hope you got through the whole stages. I included a bit more than usual, but it's another job out of the way, and now I've got the back plate. I'll hopefully make some plans and start some work on that soon, and then eventually get back to the sharpening system, which is still on the back burner. Anyway guys, thanks to everybody who's followed, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.